Hi everyone, it's Victoria Kennedy, medium clairvoyant from Los Angeles, California. And on tonight's episode of VK's Rant and Rave, I want to have a serious discussion about psychics, mediums who go out and allegedly look for lost children. So one of the things that I do, and I'm a really big believer in being able to give back, right? I'm so blessed. I have food in my home. I have a roof over my head. I have, clothing. I have money to pay my bills, to get us whatever that we need, right? And because of my gifts, my God-given gifts and abilities, to me, I have always been the person to want to give back. Well, if you're blessed in so many ways, you should be able to give back. We see celebrities, they're always giving back, but the thing with that is that there's a lot of celebrities who will say they're giving back, and what ends up happening is they do give back, but it's this whole publicity stunt. I'm not going to name any names or any celebrities, but there's a famous reality television show that's been on, I don't even know how long now. I just know it's been on for quite some time. And anything that they do, it has to be this big media publicity spectacle, right? But what about those people who are not celebrities? And because they're so blessed, and maybe they're not even blessed, they feel that they need to go and be able to give back, right? Because of God. So again, as I mentioned, I have these amazing gifts and abilities. And they are my God-given gifts. I've never ran from them. I've never said, no, I don't want these. There may have been a period when I was very, very young in which I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I was seeing people as a 3D image. I didn't know why I was seeing colors around people. I don't know why I could look at somebody and immediately hear them yelling, basically being able to see their true colors. I didn't know that what I was feeling in the pit of my stomach was because that person was not a good person. So, growing up, there wasn't anyone in my home who said, hey Vic, you know what? I'm going to take you under my wing and I'm going to tell you why you're feeling this, why you're seeing this, why you're pretty much experiencing this. So everything that I have learned, I'm going to have to say, on my own, even though I have my spirit family backing me 100%, and they have throughout my entire life, they led me to different places, to different people, in order to get me to where I'm at right now. And one of the places where I was actually sent to was an amazing nonprofit organization called Teaching of the Inner Christ. And their main location is in San Diego, but they have also a location in Long Beach, Nevada. But they are an amazing nonprofit organization. They do so much to give back and to help. And the one thing that attracted me to this nonprofit was the fact that they believe in God. And you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about psychics and mediums, right, when it comes to missing persons. We are. But, those who don't believe in God or have some type of spirituality within their life is just complete chaos. I've seen it with people, and it's just such a void in these people's lives. They have some type of chaos or drama. They either do drugs or they're into alcoholism, and you just know, right? So I actually met this person when I was working a missing persons case. So During the time when I was working this missing persons case, which was a very high profile missing persons case, and I'll kind of give you a little synopsis of what happened. So basically, this couple, they lived in Fullerton, California. It was Mother's Day, and they were later found in a remote area of the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation on a Sunday, and apparently they had just gotten lost. So unfortunately, the husband, he was found not far from his car. He was found deceased. The wife was found alive. I just think she obviously was severely dehydrated and things such as that. And they pretty much survived on rainwater, pie, and oranges. Because remember, as I mentioned, this happened on Mother's Day. So I believe they were actually taking that pie to their son's home or whomever they were going to go. You know, whatever house that they were actually going to go. And during this time when I'm working this missing persons case, I don't know how, but I come across with another, I guess we can say, a medium, right? And I keep my circle very, very short, right? I don't have a lot of people in my circle for many reasons. I don't like drama. I don't want any bad jujus coming into my home or being around myself, my wife, or my son. So basically my circle is very, very small. We don't have a lot of people going in and out of our home because, again, I'm very particular about who is going to come into our home. And trust me, I always ask a billion and one questions. Anytime my son wants to bring someone, like one of his friends, okay, well, who is this friend? Tell me about his parents. What are the vibes you're getting? It just goes on and on. My son probably thinks I'm a drill sergeant. But anyhow, I was actually talking to this one person, and she was actually very interested in this missing persons case that I was working. I'm not sure how our paths crossed, but somehow they did. It was meant to kind of cross paths. So we started talking, and she was actually really cool, really cool person. Her intuition was awesome. There was no drama, no nothing. And this is when she started telling me about TIC, which is the teaching of the inner Christ. And I was like, this is right up my alley. I want to check it out. And I did. And when I found this nonprofit organization, her job was done, right? So me working in this very high profile public missing persons case, that job of this whole entire missing person fiasco going on was to bring me and this other person together so then she can introduce me to the teaching, which is, as I call it, TIC. And after that, it was like we just kind of went our own separate ways. I never seen her again. I never spoken to her again. She had one job, and that job was to get me to go to TIC, which I did. And I have never, ever left that organization since. So they gave me the confidence to be able to do what I am doing now. And I am so glad. So it kind of re-sparked, I guess we could say, my interest in missing persons cases. And I want to say I've been with them now, let's see, my son's 16. I want to say my son may have been 7 years old at the time. So I definitely have been with them for quite some time. And they're so supportive. They support me 100%. I tell them all about my shenanigans. They know anytime I mention the word shenanigans, it has to do with a missing person. So, they taught me how to channel using my own inner Christ, right? So some of you might be asking, okay, well, what is that? So each and every one of us, I'm going to have to assume that everybody knows this, but they always say you are an exact replica of God. So basically meaning I am God too. I have God within me. I can do just about everything and anything. And why? Because I have been made in the image of God. And that is when I channel. That is how I channel. I channel with God's assistance. I channel with our ascended master's assistance, which could be Jesus. And I also have the help of my amazing guides and my guardian angels, and the list just goes on, right? So when I started doing missing persons cases, I remember my very first missing persons case was a runaway boy. I want to say he may have been like 16, 17, and he ended up running away because he was in love with this older woman, right? And the family actually located me. How, I'm not really sure. And they pretty much gave me a picture, and I said, I know where he's at. I went to the location by myself because I wanted to check it out first. And I sat there maybe about 2-3 hours. This girl ends up coming home. He ends up coming out to help her with, I don't know what, maybe some groceries at the time. And I said, bingo, I got him. I got on the phone. I called his parents. I said, this is the address where I'm at. This is the apartment number. This is where your son is at. At that point, my job was absolutely done, right? Whatever else they wanted to pursue, whatever legal actions, that's going to be on them. So I was so gung-ho. I was so excited. I pretty much was like driving home saying, excuse my French, fuck yeah, right? And that was my very first one. And as time has gone on, I've worked with so many others, and I don't go out looking for them. I figure that if Spirit really wants me to work certain files, that they're going to bring them my way, and they have. But these are missing persons cases that I don't go and talk about. Every now and then you might see a post on my social media. I'm pretty sure that's like a dead giveaway, but there's no information provided. Like, I am not saying what I'm doing on that particular missing persons case, right? So I've been around law enforcement. I still am around law enforcement. I get calls. I get calls from, normal detectives who have been using me for quite some time already. I get new detectives who say, oh, well, I don't really believe in this, but I'm going to give it a shot, which I'm pretty much like, well, you either want my help or you don't, because I'm not going to sit here just for your entertainment, right? So I have learned to just sit back and listen to law enforcement, and not to cause any problems, because if I wanted to cause problems, I definitely could cause problems, but it doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't bring somebody home any faster, and it just causes chaos and drama and that negativity, and it's literally like a freaking freight train moving full speed into the middle of like a Category 5 hurricane. Not a pretty situation. I see enough of that when the families are arguing with law enforcement. You're not doing anything. Why aren't you? It's not that they're not doing anything, but sometimes they have to work in different ways. And sometimes, even though, yes, you're the parent or you're the family member and you want to know where your missing loved one is at, there's still only so much that they can tell you. As time goes on, a year, 2, 3, 4 years later, of course there's not going to be anything done. Because we all know that somebody who goes missing, if they're not found within the first 12 to 24 hours, it's not going to be looking really good whatsoever, right? So it pretty much goes from trying to find them to I guess we can say like a rescue, meaning they're just going to be looking for their remains. And at that point, if there's no solid or concrete evidence, law enforcement's not going to do it. That's why I've always said the number one investigator to locate their own missing child are the parents, especially the moms. You do not want to mess with a mom, all right? I've seen plenty of angry moms having it out with law enforcement, and it's not pretty. It's sad. It really is, because I can't even imagine. So I don't like to bring that chaos or that drama into my life when I'm working a missing persons file, or even if I'm working a cold case file. which I don't really get too many cold cases, but I do get quite a few missing persons. And have I found missing persons? Absolutely. But again, I don't go and I don't brag about it. I also feel that not everybody needs to know what I'm doing or what I'm working on. Nobody needs to know. If somebody from law enforcement calls me, it's between them, me, and God. Of course, my family's going to know. I'm just going to be like, hey, I got a call from, Detective Jones, and I'm going to be working with him. Do I bring case files home? I do, every now and then. I kind of don't like to, but every now and then I do ask for something, just so I can have that constant, whatever it is that I need. So it brings me up now to the missing 7-month-old or missing 9-month-old baby, Emmanuel, who went missing from San Bernardino County. And I remember I was watching a live, and I saw this psychic medium, and she was pretty much out there yelling at law enforcement. Not only was she yelling at law enforcement, but she actually went on to the property while law enforcement was there and they were searching. So, if she would have disturbed anything, let's say if she would have stumbled on this baby's remains, she would have messed up the entire crime scene. And her thing is, well, you have to make a lot of noise in order for there to be movement. I get it. I totally get it. But you also have to be really careful, because first of all, this is what gives mediums such as myself a bad rep. When you have psychic mediums going to the locations, disturbing crime scene, and yelling at law enforcement, well, why aren't you doing anything? People like that give me a bad name. Okay, so apparently this medium, she does not live in the area. She lives in another state, and I kind of came across one of her lives, I'm going to say on Friday, and I was just watching her, and the only thing that I kept saying when I was looking at her is like, man, you're so dark. In other words, she has dark energy, and she has dark hair. She was all in black. Her nails, are in black. I want to say maybe like her lipstick was like a purplish, blackish type of color. Don't quote me on that though. But anyhow, she pretty much was on her live saying, well, where are you? How come you're not out here searching? I left my family back at home so I can come out here. I'm not messing around. I got here and I put, pretty much she's saying she got here and she put boots on the ground. But all she did was cause problems and chaos. I don't think she's out here. I think she already went back home, but I could be mistaken. But again, that is what gives me a bad rep. Well, we worked with a psychic and all she was a bunch of BS. She lied to us or caused some type of chaos, or she was being overly dramatic. She didn't help us whatsoever. Okay, well, first of all, I'm not a psychic. I'm a medium. And that's not me. So it kind of goes to back that old saying, judging a book by its cover. Sometimes in certain situations such as this, it's true. It's so true. And kind of going back to her live, she was just saying, well, where are you guys at? If you're saying you're this, you're that. In other words, like she gets results or whatever. This is what she does. And she just went on and on telling people, F you, get off my live. F you, get off my page. Just so negative, right? And it's not helping the situation. And then I kind of started seeing other videos about other people on TikTok talking about her, saying how she just caused so much chaos and so much drama, and how it was like being out there with her, and how she was just so loud. So in other words, she was probably basically being very obnoxious. So she goes and she tries to get all these people to go look at certain areas, but nothing has panned out, right? So people like that, so-called psychic mediums, who do that, like I said, they give me a very, very bad rep. They really do. When I know I am 100% positive this is where they are at, and I call law enforcement and I tell them who I am and what I do and why I'm calling them. Sometimes they're like, this is awesome, thank you, we're going to check it out. They do check it out, and bam, they actually end up finding the missing person. They'll ask me, do you think that they're alive or not? And I'll tell them, no, they're not. And I'll pretty much say, here is the coordinates, and it's a for sure hit. You're going to find them there. And like I said, sometimes they're like, cool, this is awesome, I'm going to go check it out right now. Then you have those other ones who are like, you're wasting my time, and just hang up. I don't believe in people like you. So when you are doing something out of the decency of your heart, because you want to be able to help so many people, if I could, I would do this every single day, every second, every minute, every hour of the day. And these are files that I don't charge. This is my way of giving back. The only time I charge on any missing persons files is if I have to travel. Meaning if I have to go up north, if I have to go to Georgia, then yes, then I'm going to charge for that. But I'm not charging for my time. I'm going to charge for my travel expenses. I'm not going to charge them for my food or anything, but for my hotel, my gas, my rental car, absolutely I'm going to do that. But out here, I don't charge them. I don't. And I just don't feel that there's a need for me to charge anybody. If I can help them, great. And this is another reason why I don't have any chaos in my life. I don't struggle. My family and I, we don't struggle. Am I a billionaire? Absolutely not. But we don't struggle. And that's because I know that I am truly 100% blessed. Not only myself, my family. And I do not take that for granted. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, this is what I want to do. And I want to help people. So this is God's way of saying, you don't have to worry about a single thing. Your bills are going to be paid. Your mortgage is going to be paid. Your insurance, whatever else, right? Whatever else needs to be paid, it's going to be paid. But on this one particular medium, when I was watching her live, and I've seen other mediums or other psychic mediums do lives before, and this has never come up before, but I was watching her live on Friday, and it was late, and I don't know why, but just out of the blue, I literally said, I'm going to look for her cross. I wanted to know she was wearing a cross. Why? I have no freaking idea, right? Like I said, I've seen so many psychics and mediums as well do their lives, and I don't ever say, oh, do they have a cross on? Right? Because everybody has their own religion. Everyone can choose to believe in whoever they want to believe in. Right? Who am I to judge you or to say, oh, you don't have a cross on, right? But I don't know, it was just so weird. And I remember I took a screenshot of that live, and I zoomed in because she did have jewelry on, and there was no cross, but on her neck, what she was wearing is like this, I don't know what you would call it, some type of animal's face that has horns that are kind of twisted, right? So the horns are not going upwards. They're literally as if the ears are being, like, I don't know, like if they're like the ears, like the horns are kind of like in a circle, right? So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this makes total sense. Total sense why she is the way she is. And then today I actually came across another one of her stories on TikTok, and let me just say that video spoke volumes. Spoke volumes, and just kind of reassured me once again why I'm doing the things that I do. Why am I so blessed? And regardless if somebody believes in my gifts or not, I've never ever had any problems before. And you know why? It's because I'm blessed. I totally am. So, when other so-called psychics or mediums, when they make it hard for law enforcement, and when people like myself know 100% where this person's at, or any person, and I call law enforcement and they laugh me off, it's because of people like her. Because of people like her. Just think, there could be so many cases that could be solved, so many missing persons that could have already been found. But it's those rotten apples that give the good apples a bad name, right? And not only for me, but for other mediums. I know there's other mediums out there who work missing persons cases, and I don't believe in doing something just out of 7 seconds of fame. I don't believe in that. But when is it finally gonna stop? When's it gonna end? When are these so-called psychic mediums gonna just pull their head out of their freaking ass and just stop? There's a right time and a right place to use your voice, to cause that chaos, to kind of get feet moving. I totally believe in that. But there is a reason why law enforcement is so hush-hush about this case. They know from the beginning just what we all know. Okay? So just remember that. Keep that in mind. You might be on social media and you'll see other mediums. And I'm not saying every psychic is bad or every medium is bad. But it's like that rotten bag of apples that truly pissed me off. I actually wanted to go near the home, and it's a good thing that I didn't, because there's just so much negativity. There's so much chaos, so many people, so many looky-loos, and chances are I probably would have had words with her. So it's probably a good thing I didn't go. But anyhow, thank you all so much for all of your unconditional support. I say this time and time again. I am truly grateful. And I am blessed. Not only because I have all of you, but I have my family. I have my spiritual family. And I know that regardless of what I do, I'm not doing it for my 7 seconds of fame. I'm not doing it so I can have my 7-second features on TikTok. I don't even like TikTok, to be honest with you. I don't even post on TikTok anymore. But I do like to watch some of the stupid stuff that they show. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that. And this has nothing. I'm gonna say it has really nothing to do with God, right? Like, meaning people who go out and they cause chaos and drama. But you would just think, regardless if you believe in God or not, you're going to have that thought of, maybe I should just kind of keep my mouth shut. So it just goes to show that wherever she goes, there's going to be nothing but problems. Nothing but problems. And I cannot even begin to tell you what she has attached to her. That's probably why I was like, my God, she's just so dark. And it had nothing to do with because she was all in black. It's just because of her energy. So, again, thank you so much for all of your support. I know that I would not be who I am without all of you, without my beautiful spirit family, nor would I be who I am without teaching of the inner Christ. My wife calls it a cult. It's not a cult, but it's amazing, truly, truly amazing. And I cannot wait until that day when I can truly, truly give back to them in such a way that I want to be able to give back to them. And I know that time is coming very, very soon. So until next week, anyone. I just said anyone, didn't I? So until next week, everyone, stay well, stay blessed, and stay safe.